Hi, this is Florian with another episode of the 180-day Idea Machine Challenge. Tonight we are talking about 10 ideas for recipes, creative new ways of cooking, creative new recipes basically. I don't know whether I mentioned it before, but I have actually learned cooking in school. So I was in high school. We had a half a year cooking class. That school had an own kitchen that was used. I guess in Germany there was a time when schools were very enthusiastically adding household learning for kids, and so it was good fun. Half a year of learning in school how to cook, which meant we spent one afternoon. Somebody would give a talk about vitamins, minerals, proteins, carbohydrates, and so on and so forth, right? So everything that was pertaining to cooking, and then our teacher would have some recipes, and we would cook them, split up in 3 or 4 groups, and then cook and afterwards eat. It was just one afternoon per week, and it was really nice, and you could get grades for it. Although it was kind of like, if you got a good grade, you could upgrade another bad grade in like German or math with this, which is a little bit ridiculous. But if you had a bad grade in cooking, nothing would happen to you. So it was like bonus class just for fun, and nice memories. So I got a little bit into cooking, and sadly, in the lately I have mostly, since I was following a low carbohydrate diet, I was eating very similar things every day. I basically have the same diet plan every day, but the cooking class helps me from time to time to mix it up a little bit, to add some extra herbs or to cook it maybe a little bit differently, and essentially there were still some origins of wanting to be creative when cooking. So today's challenge to use 10 ideas, 10 creative new recipes. Was a nice idea. So without further ado, here are my 10 recipes. So first one, potato fritters with tomato and mozzarella. So I absolutely love mozzarella and tomatoes. That's like one of my favorite dishes. And normally potato fritters, you grate potatoes and then you would mix them with eggs, a little bit of flour, and fry them in the pan. In Germany we call them Kartoffelpuffer, potato butters. So potato fritters, and people often use applesauce to add with it. But instead of potato fritters with applesauce, you could have potato fritters with tomato and mozzarella. So what I would do is I would do the potato fritters and then just add, just melt mozzarella cheese in tomato sauce. You can use tomato sauce from cans or peeled tomatoes from cans. Heat it up, add the mozzarella. So you basically have the cheese tomato sauce, and then add that to your potato fritters. So you have potatoes, tomato, and cheese. The second idea is bacon-wrapped potato fritters. So you prepare the potato batter as for normal potato fritters, and then you add some cream cheese and roll them into like a sphere or a cylinder. And then you roll a slice of bacon around it, and you bake it in the oven for about 30 minutes at 400 degrees. You can add a little bit of chicken broth if the whole thing becomes too dry, but essentially you have fried bacon around potato fritters. And I've never tried that recipe myself, to put potato fritters into the oven, so I can't guarantee that it works out. However, there's a recipe I found online that's very similar, where you are basically using bacon, put bacon into a terrine, and then slice potatoes very, very thin, and cover the floor of the tureen of the bowl with bacon, and the small potato slices on top of it, and then add a little bit of, and then just like layer up and cover it with bacon. And you would add a little bit chicken broth to it to keep it humid, and basically using potato fritters instead, which is basically grated potatoes instead of like thinly sliced potatoes, seems to me like very similar. So I've included the recipe and in the corresponding blog post, and um, you can just try to do the potato fritters in the same baking condition. Number 3, when you go to the annual fair, you can get roasted almonds, which are basically almonds with a caramel coat. And I thought, what about putting some salty stuff into the caramel coat, right? So you can take salty peanuts or pistachios and caramelize them. So to caramelize something, that's the real deal. That's the real difficulty here. If you want to caramelize sugar, you take 1 cup of sugar and 1 cup of water. You mix them in a pan on low to medium heat. And then at one point, the whole mix starts to simmer, right? While staying transparent. So basically what happens is that at 320 degrees Fahrenheit, sugar starts melting. And then you have like a colorless, transparent liquid in your pot that slowly starts to simmer. You stand there and stir it all the time. Once it starts simmering, you don't stir anymore, but you still heat it. And then you watch the whole syrup slowly starting to brown. And now it's very important, and it requires a little bit trial and error, but I would err on the side of caution first. If you find it becomes brown too fast, take it off the flame, because the residual heat will still be sufficient enough to caramelize the sugar. So there's like a delayed action, right? So if you heat something up and the sugar takes a while to caramelize, if you still heat it up, then while it has changed its state into this caramelized, more solid form, once it has done that, it starts heating further, and that's when it burns. When you, and I'm going in a little discourse in physics. I'm a scientist after all. So if you melt ice, so you basically heat ice up in the pot, right? And then the ice melts, but the water doesn't become warm while the ice melts, because all the energy you put in is used to transform the solid state into a liquid state. So the same happens in a way with the caramel, right? So the sugar starts gelling, starts caramelizing, and starts become this like liquid, slushy aggregate, right? And that way the heat is just used into caramelizing the sugar. If you keep heating it on, then it starts burning, because once the sugar is caramelized, it starts overheating. So basically, the bottom line is, when the sugar starts gelling, starts getting slightly brown, reduce the heat or even take the pot directly off the heat. Well, what you do at the same time is you add salted pistachios or salted peanuts. My initial version of that recipe had anchovies, because I thought that might be a really interesting way to caramelize anchovies, but maybe that's really not everyone's business to. I mean, not everyone loves anchovies, so don't take anchovies if you don't want. You can, but the safer bet is take pistachios or peanuts. Right, and then you put them in while the caramel is browning, and you can add some vanilla sugar later on to give it some more nicer vanilla flavor if you want. And then once your nuts have been covered in the caramel, your peanuts, you can then pour the whole mix onto like a rack for the oven or something like that, where you let your nuts just dry, your peanuts or your pistachios, you just let them dry, and then they have this nice caramel crust. So that's my idea number 3. Idea number 4, mulled pears. So in Germany we have this Christmas tradition, mulled wine. And what this is you heat up red wine with oranges and orange juice, some cloves, cinnamon, anise, or Chinese 4-spice, I think works similar. And then you just heat it up without letting it boil, right? And once it's heated up, you add to 1 liter of red wine, you add a 1/4 cup of rum and a 1/4 cup of brown sugar. And you can do a little bit more or less depending on your taste. You stir it in, you heat it up again until everything is dissolved. So, then you have your mulled wine. That's the first part of the recipe. That's already fun part. So, then you can take some of the mulled wine aside and quarter some pears or peaches and let them soaked in mulled wine. Put them into the fridge, let them soak overnight, 1 or 2 days in mulled wine. Like, have a little bowl, have like your peach pieces in there, cover them with mulled wine, let them soak. Right? And what you do then is you fry them in a pan, and that caramelizes the sugar. Or you can also just heat them up in an oven. Try it out yourself. The point is that you have warm fruits that are actually drenched in red wine, and that might actually be a very, very nice flavor. It's an idea. I've never tried it out myself, but I'll do that this year when I do my mulled wine. Maybe with a few modifications, it's maybe really a very nice recipe for. Maybe you can even caramelize them and then dry them, so you can have them as some snacks in between, like dried fruit, a little bit alcohol in between. Why not? Number 5, sweet potatoes with bacon wrapped chicken and orange ginger sauce. Sounds fancy, and basically it's an assembly of different recipes. So what I haven't seen so much is caramelized potatoes, right? So you take a pound of small potatoes, just wash them, don't peel them, and cook them, right, until they're soft and done. Then you peel them, then you let them cool down and peel them, and then you add you fry butter, no, you fry oil into a pan, heat the oil up, and add the peeled potatoes into it. So until they start frying in the oil. Then you add sugar into the pan. Take a confectioner sugar, take tablespoon and just spread it on. And so what happens is that the potatoes in the hot oil get fried with melting, caramelizing sugar. So they get a glaze and they get covered by a caramel crust. That's really delicious. And you can then serve them with bacon wrapped chicken. Right? You can have chicken and you can put bacon around it and then bake it in the oven. And I have a link to that recipe on my blog article to this video. And so yeah, then you have sweet potatoes, which is salty and sweet at the same time. And then you have your bacon wrapped chicken, and maybe have a sauce, have a ginger sauce where you add some orange, maybe some cranberries. So you have a sweet, salty, slightly dry or bitter or herb flavor note with it. Very delicious. That can actually be a great Christmas recipe. Number 6, caramelized fruit salad with hot chocolate. If you take dark chocolate that doesn't have too much sugar, it's actually quite healthy. There are lots of antioxidants in there. And if you add some blueberries, it's even healthier, right? So blueberries have antioxidants as well. Very healthy, actually. And so what you can do is you cut pears or peaches into quarters and then melt some butter in a non-stick pan. And before the butter is really very hot, you add the fruit pieces and then saute them until they start drizzling. What happens is that the fruit sauce in these pieces will come out and start to gel and thicken, right? And then overall the fruits become caramelized. Take those fruits out in a little bowl and then melt dark chocolate and pour the dark chocolate over the caramelized fruit and add some blueberries. I can only imagine that this tastes very delicious. As I said, this is experimental. I have never done it myself, but I would imagine that that goes very well together. Based on pears in the fruit salad, pears and blueberries go well together. Same with peaches and blueberries, they go very well together. And since blueberry goes well with chocolate, the whole thing may make sense. And actually, nothing wrong with pears, peaches, blueberries, and chocolate in any case, right? So, can only win. Number 7, bacon, steak, pineapple. And I got inspired by thinking about Pizza Hawaii, right? So what you do is you take your steak, you cut it into small pieces, and you fry those small pieces. Then you add a piece of pineapple, either fresh pineapple or out of the can. Add that to your slice of steak, and then fry bacon stripes in the pan, and then wrap them around your steak and pineapple, and put a wooden stick through it so you have a little steak pineapple bacon bite. Then maybe great little bites for party, and maybe different than having your cheese and grapes in there, right? So like cheese, grapes, and then a wooden stick. No, bacon, pineapple, and steak. Salad with steaks and anchovies. As I mentioned before, I like anchovies, and they add a distinctly salty nose. So what you do is you have your normal salad, bell peppers, carrots, whatever, cranberries on there maybe, California style salad, and then you add steak in there, and then you also add anchovies in there. And so you have like a sweet note from the cranberries, like the veggies from bell peppers and maybe tomatoes, and then you have your steak and your salty anchovies. Number 9, vanilla or chocolate ice cream with caramelized pears or peaches. It's a variation of what I talked about before. You caramelize pears and peaches in the pan, like once again, fry butter or melt butter before it's really smoking hot. You add the fruits and give it 2 or 3 minutes, saute it in the hot drizzling fat until it starts sizzling, and then the juices come out and become thickened. And then the sugar in those juices caramelizes on top and throughout the fruits. So you have those fruits, they are caramelized, and then you just eat them with the vanilla or chocolate ice cream. Delicious. You can even add cinnamon. And the way I got this idea, it sounds rather simple, but I got this idea from apple pancakes. So when I grew up, I loved apple pancakes. Basically, you have a pancake, sure, you add some apple slices, and then you add sugar. We added sugar at home and cinnamon, and that was a delicious flavor. The pancake with the cinnamon went very, very well together. So if you take your vanilla or chocolate ice cream with your caramelized pears and add some cinnamon, especially if you have vanilla ice cream, that may actually be really delicious. And that brings us to number 10. Hot chocolate with ginger and chili. And you can have different variations of that. So the classic variation is hot cocoa in hot cocoa, COCOA. I don't know how to really pronounce it. Hot cocoa in milk. You can heat that up, and then you can add some ginger flavor, which gives it like a hot side note, and or some chili. And if you've seen the movie Chocolate with Juliette Binoche and Johnny Depp, she makes chocolate with chili. And we're actually surprising insight that for me at that time when I saw the movie, that chocolate is done, that original chocolate does contain a healthy amount of chili. All right, so in this example here, you have your hot chocolate. You add ginger and chili, really nice. If you want to make it a little bit more, daring, you feel frisky, you add some rum. But also, if you are on a low carb diet like I am, there is some very delicious protein shake out there that you can have with almond milk, and you have and tastes like chocolate, but there's little to no carbohydrates in there. So you have that, and I think you can even heat that up and make it hot. Almond milk, your protein powder with chocolate flavor, heat it up in the microwave, or use normal milk with normal hot chocolate powder. Heat it up, add some rum if you want, and first and foremost some ginger and chili. Delicious. And those are my 10 ideas. Let me know if you have more ideas. Some of those ideas are rather simple to do, and that's what I was aiming for. Maybe I'll try some of these recipes out, and then I'll get more ideas. Right now, these are my ideas, right? And so enjoy, try them out, and let me know how it goes. Let me know how they went for you. And if you have any more questions, if there's anything unclear with ingredients or anything like that, write me a comment. I'll answer every comment. And even if you have some additional ideas, I will look it up online and maybe even check my old recipe book that I had from cooking in high school. And with that being said, I wish you a great rest of the week. It's already Tuesday. And the 1st of December, I hope you had a nice start in this month. It's basically coming Christmas time. The mulled wine is an absolute great thing to do if you want to have some people over. Have some mulled wine, tastes delicious. I can only recommend it. It's a big tradition in Germany for a good reason, and I haven't seen it so much here, but maybe it's time that you introduce it in the US. There's wine in there and rum. What more can I say? That already speaks for it. So, once again, let me know if you got some value out of my recipes. If you want to cook some and you don't know what some recipe or some ingredients mean, let me know. I'm happy to answer all questions. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, please. Thank you very much. And over time, we can rank our videos a little bit higher. Then more people get exposed to them, more people see them. We can have more input from people and grow this whole movement. And that's it. I'm looking forward to seeing you again tomorrow. And so far, all the best. Have a nice evening and enjoy your next Wednesday. See you tomorrow.